안녕하세요. Riding on the Korean wave. Welcome to a brand new week on the Culture Wave. I'm Kwon So-wa in Seoul. Explore with us Korea's culture from all aspects and stay up to date with K-entertainment, K-heritage, K-trends, K-everything. And we'll do all of that together with our Monday co-host Walter Lee. Hello, Walter.
Happy Monday, Soa, and hello everyone at home who is watching. Walter Lee here to give you the daily dose of K-Enter News.
And today we have a special focus on K-pop, especially K-pop groups that have been in the K-pop business for 10 years.
Yes, there are actually numerous K-pop groups. I didn't realize how many there were celebrating their 10th anniversary of their debut this year. We'll get into that a little bit later on in the program, but I've also got some K-pop news of my own to start off with.
Oh, great. So let's start with our daily dose of K-Enter News today. And you just mentioned K-pop is on the list. So we're going to talk about BTS's Jungkook. So what do you have for us?
What a great way to start off our K-pop today. So Jungkook's single 7 topped the list of 15 best K-pop and rap collaborations of all time. Now, this is according to the American pop culture magazine Complex on Friday. Now, Complex said on their website, quote, Jungkook's powerful vocals deliver desire in a way that's digestible and witty, and the song's collaborator, Lato, quote, delivers a high energy flirtatious verse that's technically impressive for a summertime hit. Now, in total, 5 BTS solo and group songs actually made it onto this list. J-Hope's On the Street ranked 4th, LV Bag ranked 14th, BTS's Butter remix ranked 8th, and RM's Change ranked 11th.
Wow, best K-pop and rap collaboration of all time.
All time.
It kind of seems a little early to say of all time.
Yes,
but
right.
There is another media outlet that has listed something similar.
Yes.
It's one webzine has already named their most influential K-pop artists of the 21st century. So who has made it on that list?
I know, it's already the 21st. I mean, it's so early, but the webzine iDim announced on Friday that it conducted a survey of 31 critics and producers to select 25 musicians, including groups who have been influential in K-pop over the past 25 years. Now, that's from 2000 to obviously last year. Now, the selected musicians include top groups like, obviously, BTS, Blackpink, Big Bang, 21, Wonder Girls, Girls' Generation, solo singles like IU, BoA, Park Hyo-shin, bands like YB, and hip-hop acts like Epic High, Dynamic Duo, and Benzino. So, notably, when it comes to, let's say, BTS, of course, popular music critic Im Jin-mo described the group by saying K-pop has become a common noun thanks to BTS's immense achievements. Now, since their various attempts in K-pop in terms of the visual, sounds, and sensations have orbited them around them.
Quite the list, and I'm also happy to see a variety of genres here. We have ballads and band music, hip-hop, and also the older K-pop groups as well. Yeah. Now, Walter, what do you have next for us?
Okay, so actor Kim Soo-hyun, who has been embroiled in controversy over accusations of dating the late actress Kim Se-yeon when she was underage, is due to hold an urgent press conference today, Monday Korea time at 4:30 p.m., according to Kim's agency Gold Medalist. Now, Kim Soo-hyun and legal representatives, however, are set to only release a statement without taking any questions. This will be the first time that Kim Soo-hyun has spoken directly on the matter since the dating rumors surfaced on a YouTube channel on March 10th. Now, Kim's agency initially denied the claims as false, but later revised its stance, stating that their relationship began after she became an adult following a series of allegations. Now, meanwhile, Kim Se-yeon's family has continued to demand the truth, releasing social media conversations that they claim is evidence of their relationship during the minor years.
Well, keep us updated on the developing story. And finally, we have a new K-pop concert for fans to look out for. Which one is it?
Yes, so the film ZeroBaseOne, the first tour Timeless World in cinemas, featuring live footage from ZeroBaseOne's world tour, is set to connect with global fans. The movie has been confirmed for screenings in 51 regions, with some limited screenings already actually released. And now, Timeless World in Cinemas captures the emotional journeys of ZeroBaseOne's first world tour, which actually attracted a total audience of around 140,000 attendees. Now, meanwhile, ZeroBaseOne is set to hold a fan concert here in Seoul at KSPO Dome Stadium in Seoul on April 18th all the way through to April 20th. Now, additionally, on April 4th, they will release their physical album of their 5th mini album, Blue Paradise, in the US.
All right, thank you very much for those K-Enter updates, Walter, and stick around.
Will do.
And now let's take a look at what our AI anchor Ari has for us today. Ari, take it away.
Hello and welcome to your AI guide to the latest cultural updates from Korea. Here's our top story. Multiple wildfires that broke out across Korea last week have damaged 30 national cultural heritage items, including 1,000-year-old treasures. According to a preliminary tally by the National Heritage Service, 11 national heritage sites were burned, including the treasured Kaoru Pavilion and Yeonsujeon Hall at Gounsa Temple in Uiseong. Several folk cultural heritage items and 3 natural monuments were also destroyed. Partial damage was reported to 19 heritage items designated by cities and provinces, including the Manjangsa stone-seated Buddha in Uiseong. To prevent further losses, the cultural agency has strengthened coordination with fire authorities. The 63rd Jine Gunangje opened with a significantly reduced program due to the massive wildfires across the Gyeongsang region. But that didn't stop visitors from flocking to Korea's most iconic cherry blossom festival. Despite chilly weather over the weekend, Jine in Changwon was bustling with visitors, including many from overseas. In response to the wildfires, Changwon City scaled back the festival and canceled events such as the Black Eagles Air Show. The festival will run until April 6th, with peak bloom expected next weekend. Comic, the first production of the year by the Seoul Metropolitan Theater, is drawing attention with its blend of humor and satire. Described as a comedic acting gift set, the play reimagines several short works by German playwright Karl Valentin, directed, adapted, and composed by Im Do-won. Known for his witty productions such as Scapin and Human Comedy, the performance features 10 episodes in an omnibus format, entertaining audiences for a full 100 minutes. The show runs through April 20th at the M Theater of the Sejong Center for the Performing Arts in Seoul. That's all from me. Stay tuned to the Culture Wave.
Monastic meals in temple cuisine, widely known as temple food, embody Buddhist philosophy by preserving the natural flavors of ingredients. This unique food culture may receive more recognition as the Korea Heritage Service has announced its plan to designate temple food as a new intangible national heritage. Lee Eun-jin tells us more.
Each temple has its own variation of dishes for what makes up temple food. But one common foundation across all temples is that they share a vegetarian foundation that not only excludes meat and fish, but also 5 pungent vegetables: garlic, green onions, chives, leeks, and asafoetida. Buddhist culinary traditions not only include food, but also the baru gongyang, a formal way of eating in Buddhist practice. Adhering to the Buddhist principle of non-violence and respect for life, hence not killing any living being, Korean temple food is particularly distinguished for using unique fermented ingredients, which perhaps sets it apart from similar temple food traditions in other countries.
Temple food has the natural, clean, and original flavors.
It's traditional food. It's light and easier to digest. I think that's why it's loved. And since it is traditional Korean food, wouldn't people want to experience it?
This healthy and natural well-being cuisine is being designated as an intangible national heritage. The Korea Heritage Service nominated the great value of temple food that contributes to cultural diversity by adding creativity to traditional meal preparation methods. However, because the recipes that have been passed down vary from temple to temple, and because it is a tradition that is collectively transmitted rather than through specific individuals or organizations, there won't be an official holder of the tradition. The designation will be finalized after a 30-day review period and deliberation by the Intangible Cultural Heritage Committee. After its recognition as a national intangible heritage, the Buddhist community plans to promote temple food onto the UNESCO World Intangible Heritage List. And for this, there will be a temple food festival held in June, and temple food will be prepared for participants of the APEC Summit to experience in October in Gyeongju. 이은진, Arirang News.
2025 is a special year for many K-pop groups and their fans, as a number of bands are celebrating the 10th anniversary of their debuts. Today, we want to delve into the factors behind such long-lasting success and the impact of these idols on the global K-pop scene. We are now connected to ZeroBaseOne, Assistant Professor at Busan National University. Hello, Professor Seiji.
Hello, Professor.
Hello, it's been so long to see you guys.
Yes, it's been a while, and we're so happy to have you on the program to talk about K-pop groups today. Now, Professor Seiji, this year, 17, TWICE, Monster X, Oh My Girl, and G-Friend or 여자친구, they all celebrate their 10th anniversary. So what's your view on the decade of success for these K-pop groups?
Well, I couldn't be happier for the members of these groups and their fans. You know, it's really rare to manage to keep a group together for this long. And it indicates hard work and professionalism. You know, 17 really weathered a rocky road when their label was absorbed by HYBE. And Monsta X managed to continue through the contentious loss of their popular former group member Wonho. And TWICE, they have members from multiple different countries, but they've managed to maintain really strong ties within the group. But I think the most praise belongs for Oh My Girl and G-Friend because, you know, they have never quite attained the level of stardom that TWICE, for example, has, but they've managed to just not give up. And the tenacity is very impressive.
Yes, I know. I was always a very big fan of TWICE ever since they debuted, and also as G-Friend, as well as Monster X and Oh My Girl, and it's great to see them still continuing, and they still have a lot of popularity. So this actually marks their 10th, year anniversary for them, which means, they debuted all the way back in 2015. It's just so surreal to say that it's already been 10 years. What kind of year was that for these groups? Was it an important year? What made that year so special? Were there any sort of characteristics that made that year interesting?
I think really with each successive year, we're seeing more K-pop groups debut than ever before. I don't think that 2015 stands out as particularly unique, but the farther we go back in time, the fewer groups are still active. So like if you look at 2012, then the only major groups that are still active are EXO and B2B. And 2013, BTS is the only very significant group that has still managed to keep going, although there are some very important solo artists that released in 2013. And 2014, we only have a few major groups, Akdong Musician, Winner, Red Velvet. So I think that if we wait another 3 or 4 years, unfortunately, 2015 may similarly be down in size of active groups.
So just from the history of these groups that you just mentioned, it does look that we do have a significant number of groups that are celebrating their 10th year this year in 2025. Now, Professor Seiji, in the world of K-pop, there is that phrase or that term, the 7th year curse, or in Korean you would say 마의 7년, which means many idol groups in the past, they didn't make it past the 7 years. So why is that?
Well, I do kind of laugh when people talk about a 7-year curse because it's not actually a curse. In 2010, the government, trying to protect young people from what were called slavery contracts, made a new rule that K-pop contracts were limited to 7 years. And so what the 7-year curse actually is at the end of the first contract, many groups don't continue on. For example, if your group is financially struggling for 7 years, it doesn't make any sense for you to want to re-sign, or the company may not want to re-sign. If, of course, some individual members, they may strike out on their own. But in other cases, a group could even become quite successful inside of the first 7 years, but at the end of 7 years, that's their first chance to get out. And some members will choose to retreat from celebrity life in order to attend university or start a family or work on other projects, perhaps acting. So, these groups, some of them have a lot of interpersonal strife, whether we know about it or not. And the thought of being stuck together for more years is not always appealing.
I always thought the 7-year curse was something related to relationships rather than actual K-pop groups. I remember hearing about the 7-year curse in high school, but now we're seeing numerous groups celebrating the 10th anniversary. How significant do you see these achievements, and what's behind those groups that have reached the achievement and this milestone? Do you think there is a special thing that is attracting these certain groups to do that?
I think it's very significant because only a small fraction of groups can demonstrate the skills and the charisma that can connect to a large enough audience to financially stay afloat in this cutthroat K-pop ecosystem. So just being able to become popular, become A-listers is a huge achievement. But to reach 10 years, the group can't just be talented and attractive to the audience, but they also have to be consummate professionals, professional in the way that they are working as stars. They have to have good interpersonal skills because they work really long hours under high stress, and they're shoulder to shoulder with their fellow group mates and staff year after year. Like if I think back on my own past jobs, I cannot even imagine a single job where 4 or 5 or even 13 of the same people continued to work with me consecutively for 10 years in a row. That's just not the way the working world works. People come, people go. Not everybody is able to be as professional and be as successful and continue to show the kind of skills that the members of these groups have proven that they can do.
Wow, Professor Seiji, you just made a really good point. I mean, K-pop stars, they are also performing a job. So they are actually, if we think of it, working with the same people, just like you would work in an office with the same group of people for 10 years. So that is really amazing if you think of it that way. Now, nowadays, it's also not unusual to see idol group members go solo separately from their group activities, but it doesn't mean that they leave the group. They still stay as a group, but also have their separate activities, just like all the members of Blackpink, for instance. So could you tell us the positive and maybe also negative aspects of this trend?
Well, I think there's a lot of great strategic reasons for idols to do solo work. For example, when you go to a concert, like I went to ATs recently, and you can watch a subunit or you can watch solo work in a concert, and allows the other members of the group to take a break, to have a costume change, things like that. It provides a different musical color in the middle of the concert, really making the entire experience much better for everybody in the audience. So solo work is also increasingly common as a strategy to spend time and keep fans engaged while some members of the group are serving in the military. And another reason why idols sometimes choose to do solo work is because the singing ability of idols is sometimes discredited by the general public. Maybe it's because there's one member in their group who is exceptionally good at singing. But a lot of the accusations come because in K-pop, in popular music, a lot of the vocal tracks are heavily manipulated in production. So if you have a solo release, you get to sing the song by yourself and you can prove your skills. You can show your skills. I think this is a reason why many idols, when they do a solo release, they might do a ballad or they might have a B-side on a solo release that's a ballad with minimal auto-tune because it's a chance to show their authentic voice. Of course, solo releases also allow people to express themselves in a new genre or with lyrics that might feel more personal. And this can also be really terrific for artistic growth. Of course, there are some negatives. Some artists may begin to outshine their group as a whole, or they may feel held back by working with a group after they've had a chance to do it by themselves. They may be forced to focus on one or another, and that can make them resentful. So it doesn't always work out perfectly for fans and for the group at large, but I think in general it's a net positive.
I find it interesting that you mentioned that it's not just about these individual members that want to show a new style, but really to actually prove their talent. I guess that is also why we sometimes see these group members on entertainment shows where they sing separately, and sometimes also these shows where you don't even see who they are, for example, wearing a mask, and then you find out it's an idol group member having such great talent in singing.
It's quite interesting, yes. They either shine in like the variety shows, or they, like you said, Professor, they go solo, and in many cases they also do musicals as well, where they get to show their natural voice out on stage as well, and I've seen many idols do that as well. But if we move back onto the groups, the long-lasting groups, how do these long-lasting idol groups contribute to K-pop industry as a whole, do you think?
Well, I'm going to use Twice as an example for this one. Economically, a group like Twice is earning a lot of money from streaming and purchase of their entire catalog from 10 years worth of releases. They've had 10 years to build a really large fandom. And of course, this large fandom also helps the success of subgroups like, Misamo or the solo releases of some of the members. But the thing is that these earnings that they're bringing in can be reinvested in future tours and releases. But beyond that, and I think a lot of people have said this too, JYP Entertainment is able to produce new idol groups. They are able to, take on new challenges because they're earning this money through Twice. Without Twice, at least half of JYP Entertainment's recent activities would have been impossible, or they would have had to get a loan. Twice also serves as a sort of placeholder in the media ecosystem. In everything from a member appears in an advertisement, and later that advertisement can be passed on to a new idol from a new group, or the spots that Twice occupies on entertainment and music programs and in streaming playlists. So if there's no Twice, if there's no successful A-list idol group, then just like Korea in the 1970s or 1980s, the place of pop song in Korean public spaces, on the radio, on TV, could be occupied by foreign singers. Through keeping K-pop fans within K-pop, Twice plays a role in introducing their fans and their listeners to other idols who can appear with them on an entertainment program or after them on a music program, or can be mentioned by them on social media. So without current successful groups to keep listeners occupied, to keep fans paying attention, then these listeners may leave the genre entirely, seeking for something new, something fun. So the entire K-pop ecosystem is predicated on having this mix of established artists producing proven hits and new hopefuls who are trying to attract further fandom.
And speaking of fandom, Professor Seiji, what would these K-pop groups be without their loyal fans who played a big role in keeping these groups together for 10 years? So briefly, what would you say? How could these groups strengthen their fan fandom for the next decade or so, especially when they have these 10th anniversaries with commemorative events, for instance?
Well, it's a tough question. I mean, of course, for fans of Monster X, this 10th year is a happy one because the last member is going to soon end military service. But, you know, for fans of 17, this year hits really differently. We normally see special greetings, special tours, sappy ballads about loving the fans that show some grainy footage of the idols in concert. And that's become really predictable. Although I still think that that's very meaningful for fans of those groups. I wish I had a more creative, more wonderful answer. But honestly, what I think they should do is they should check their fan club membership and they should send every fan who's been with them from debut to the present a special thank you, personal special thank you card, because these fans who have been there for 10 solid years, standing behind these groups, holding these groups up, advocating for these groups, listening, purchasing, and going to concerts, these fans really, really are the ones who have made this success possible. And I think they deserve a thank you.
I think it's a very creative and great idea, Professor Seiji, a thank you card. Well, thank you for your insights today, Professor Seiji, and also congrats to all the groups that are celebrating this year. Thank you and see you again.
Thank you, Professor.
Have a great day.
And thank you, Walter. As always, we're going to see you back here tomorrow.
See you soon.
Thank you for spending the past half an hour with us on the Culture Wave. Please join us again tomorrow on Tuesday at 2 p.m. Korea time and maybe one day here in Korea.